Today, you and I are going to be harvesting honey together in a way that doesn't require an extractor. This is called crush and strain. And what we're gonna do is go through the materials that you can use, the ones that I prefer, how to do the process, and how to progress through the steps to be able to harvest some of your honey. So for the materials we have is our honey, of course, a frame of honey. It doesn't matter what kind of foundation you have, plastics, beeswax, foundationless, anything will work. You do want to make sure your honey is at least 80% capped on both sides. More is definitely better, but having a high percentage of capped honey will just ensure that your water content is low, which is going to avoid fermentation. But we got our frame of honey, of course. What we're going to be doing is exactly like it sounds, crushing and straining. So to do that, we need something to get the honey off of the foundation. Things you can use is a hive tool. You probably got a million of these around, a knife, a big spoon, maybe a heavy duty spatula. What I prefer is a designated paint strainer. This is just the perfect size. It will get the job done and it will get it done nicely. So we're going to use this. I love it. I'm gonna put these aside because you can use them, but I don't. And then we're gonna need something to filter the honey through. Again, things you can use, a fine mesh strainer, or a strainer that's maybe not so fine or mesh, but to help with the better filtering, with this strainer, we can use a nylon paint strainer from any hardware store or some clean cheesecloth. Both of those will work just fine. I'm gonna put those to the side and show you what I use. This is a double strainer. I totally recommend these. They are totally worth the investment if you're gonna be beekeeping because they will strain your honey twice through progressively smaller types of mesh, and it's gonna give you a much cleaner product. They are fantastic. And they fit right on top of your bowls, on top of your buckets. You're gonna use it over and over again. So this is what I'm gonna use. And then other things that we have here. We have a cloth that is nice and pretty and has bee design on it. This is what we're gonna use as we let the honey drain, but anything will do. Lint-free is preferred because it's just not gonna have stuff that gets into your honey. But we've got these we're gonna use in a second, and something to put your sticky stuff on top of. This is just parchment paper, wax paper, a cookie sheet, anything that's gonna be able to accommodate the size of your frame after you're done so that you don't get honey all over the place. On that note, we also wanna have warm water close by because everything's gonna get sticky, and that's just gonna help keep our fingers clean as we're touching all this stuff. So let's have at it. How exciting. Okay, I've got my bowl here. I've got my strainer thing on top. I'm going to take my frame of honey and just put it very, very firmly on top of this thing. I've got my tool here and I'm just going to put it on my frame and slide it on down. So sometimes it can be nice to kind of do it in little chunks. I use plastic foundation, so it's gonna just go right up against the foundation. If you have beeswax foundation, then you're probably just gonna cut the whole thing out because this will not preserve your drawn comb at all. There are ways to do that, but this is definitely not it. We're just gonna be scraping it on the side. It's okay that if you have propolis in here or sometimes you'll have bee bread in there, that's totally fine. All of it can go in here. It's all gonna strain out. Crush and strain can be kind of nice because it will get all that. Sometimes that's kind of desirable to be able to have all those things just kind of get through your honey. Right, so this frame, once I'm done, can go straight back to my bees to clean out, and then I can just re-wax the frame and they'll build it out again. But I'm gonna put this to the side on my surface. And here we have, as you can see, all of this honey. We wanna crush it just a little bit to help get things going, to help it release from the comb and start the draining process. So here we have our honey. We're going to let it strain for at least 2 days. You will be surprised how much honey the wax will store, and having it sit for at least 2 days will just help to get more to drain out, which will help give you more to enjoy. But what we're gonna do is place this cover over the top and then put this in a very warm area. So the warmer it is, the faster the honey will drain. The colder it is, the slower it will go. So if you put it by a warm window or have a heater going or something, that's just gonna help it go all the faster. But even if it's very, very warm, I still recommend 2 days. But this cloth is gonna keep it free of bugs and just dust in the air. You can already see some starting to drain. So one thing you want to think about also is part of all this is your cleanup, because that is very important to think about to ensure you're not putting anything that contains wax down your drain. That is a recipe for disaster with your plumbing. So ways that you can clean this out, one is you can just give it back to your bees. You can give all the equipment once it's done straight back to the bees. Put your inner cover on, put your bowl, even your strainers that you use, put them in a box, put the lid on, and the bees are gonna clean it right out for you. And then if you wanna get it even cleaner, you can wash everything out outside with a hose. Cold water should do just fine. You can also use soap, but it's not good for your sink. Never ever do that for your sink. But look at that, oh, it's so yummy. Enjoy your honey harvest.